This move by Sean Combs was not unexpected. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, had said they would appeal two judges' rulings denying Sean Combs bail.
His resolve is the same. He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
Look, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any more explosive in Diddy's ongoing legal saga, the music mogul dropped a bombshell statement in court that has everyone talking. With his back against the wall, facing some of the most serious charges of his life, Diddy didn't hold back, and his stunning revelation might just flip the entire case upside down. This unexpected twist has thrown prosecutors into a frenzy, and let's just say, his lawyers didn't see it coming either. Could this be the game-changing move that saves him from a lifetime behind bars? Or is it the final nail in the coffin? Let's get into it. At one time, Diddy was so arrogant and untouchable that he refused to listen to anyone but himself. He lived like the king of the world, believing he could sidestep the consequences of his actions forever. But now, after his dramatic fall from grace, the panic is real. Diddy is scrambling, taking some seriously desperate measures that would leave any sane person scratching their head. So, you know that infamous fraudster, Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy behind the collapse of FTX? Well, Diddy just hired his lawyer, Alexander Shapiro, to appeal the judge's decision to keep him locked up for the third time. Yep, that's right. Bankman-Fried, who's already serving a 25-year sentence for his multi-billion-dollar crypto fraud, chose Shapiro for his own Hail Mary attempt at freedom. Now Diddy thinks he can pull off the same magic for him. And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Diddy and Bankman-Fried are now roommates in Brooklyn's notorious Metropolitan Detention Center, sharing a dormitory-style room with other inmates.
Well, Diddy is not giving up, even before he gets to the trial, he's not giving up on trying to get out of jail. You know that he has been turned down twice.
So Combs is currently being held in Brooklyn, where he'll remain until his trial begins, unless, of course, his legal team manages to change that. The plan is that they're going to appeal and try to convince the appeals court that the judge was wrong and that Diddy should have been allowed to post bail. That's exactly what Diddy's lawyers are fighting for right now. But here's the real issue. Is there a reason why they should do this? The argument remains the same. The problem is this. When you appeal a decision like this, there's a very specific legal standard that must be met. It's not about whether or not the decision was right or wrong. The question is, did the judge A his discretion? This is where things get tricky because ultimately, bail decisions are at the discretion of the trial judge.
Sean Combs is basically asking the appeals court to overrule two lower court judges and say they made a big mistake by not granting him bail.
Anyway, the bar is set really high to convince an appeals court to overturn such a decision. The trial judge based their ruling on Diddy being a flight risk and a danger. In their view, Diddy had not only attempted to intimidate and influence witnesses, but with his financial means, the court felt he couldn't be allowed to walk free while awaiting trial. Now, whether you think that's too harsh or not, it's the judge's call. And it's going to be tough, if not impossible, to convince an appeals court to overturn that. Appeals courts typically show a lot of deference to the trial judge's interpretation of the evidence presented. The chances of getting them to step in and say the trial judge got it wrong, pretty slim. At a pretrial hearing last week, Combs' legal team made yet another desperate attempt to secure bail. This time, it was their third shot. But what they didn't expect was the harsh reality that awaited them. You see, they argued that the denial of bail was all due to the sensationalism surrounding the case. They tried to paint the first judge as being swept up in the media frenzy, even throwing out a $50 million bond offer with strict home detention, hoping it would turn things around. But the jury, they weren't buying it. This time, the argument fell flat. In fact, Judge Arun Subramanian wasted no time in reminding everyone that Diddy wasn't going anywhere. He made it crystal clear that Combs will remain detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he's been locked up since his arrest on September 16th. It seems like no amount of legal gymnastics is going to sway them, as the case only gets more heated. And now with the trial date set for May 5th, it's starting to feel like Diddy's legal team is running out of plays.
The United States government, they start making this case as a takedown of a successful black man.
Word on the street is that Diddy might have spilled some crucial info that could come back to haunt him. It's not just his own neck on the line either, because let's face it, we all know he didn't operate alone. Now, with his volatile temper and a legal case that's blowing up, there are a whole lot of people out there shaking in their boots.
Diddy didn't do it alone. Where are all the celebrities and friends that hung around Diddy? Did they really not know all of this information?
Those who were once in his inner circle, yeah, they're probably losing sleep right now, knowing that if Diddy goes down, he could very well drag them down with him. The walls are closing in, and it's only a matter of time before some big names start to crumble. Another key aspect of that hearing was that Diddy's attorney tried to convince the judges to give Diddy a pretrial release to prepare for his case. Sean Combs requests that the court order his release on appropriate bail conditions and order his immediate release pending disposition of his appeal under Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 9A3. Mr. Combs should be released because, regardless of the government's untested allegations, the proposed conditions will reasonably assure his appearance and the safety of the community. As you could already guess, Diddy did not get a pretrial release because it violated its obligations under the Bail Reform Act. Mr. Combs is presumed innocent. He traveled to New York voluntarily, fully aware that an indictment was coming. His legal team argued in their appeal. He took extraordinary measures to show his intention to face the charges head-on, not run away. The bail package he presented was designed to ensure that he posed no threat to anyone or had any opportunity to contact witnesses. According to the Bail Reform Act, liberty is the norm, and detention before or without a trial should be a carefully limited exception. Despite these claims, the court wasn't budging, and it's clear they were not convinced. Not to mention, they even tried playing the self-harm angle to get Diddy some slack, but that backfired spectacularly. Right now, he's holed up in the MDC in New York, supposedly under self-harm watch.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on suicide watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after two judges denied his request for bail.
And let's be real, it's just routine for high-profile cases like this. But no one's buying it. At last, when they realized that this could potentially damage Diddy's stay in jail, his lawyer released a statement saying, "Mr. Combs is strong, healthy, and focused on his defense. He is committed to fighting this case and has full confidence in both his legal team and the truth." Now, about those charges, they're all connected to his notorious freak-offs. These weren't your typical after-parties. We're talking hours, even days-long performances, where Diddy allegedly coerced people into compromising acts while recording the entire ordeal. The indictment says Diddy pulled out all the stops to satisfy his twisted desires, protect his shiny public persona, and lock down those dirty secrets. But that's not the worst news for Diddy, since his current living situation isn't all that glamorous. He's in a place described as downright hellish. A former MDC detainee didn't hold back, calling the conditions inhumane. And if you ask me, that sounds like poetic justice.
A lot of them are brought up on pretty heavy federal indictments, right? So just in terms of the atmosphere there, it's just certainly one that no one wants to be in.
Detainees, advocates, and judges have raised alarms about dangerous, barbaric conditions, rampant violence, and multiple deaths at the MDC. And some judges have refused to send people to the only federal lockup in the nation's biggest city. Combs' legal team is scrambling to get him moved to a jail in New Jersey, claiming that Brooklyn's MDC is unfit for pretrial detention. And with the conditions he's dealing with, it's easy to see why they're pushing hard. Locked up in a facility's special housing unit, Diddy is confined to his cell for up to 23 hours a day, under constant watch. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, argued that it's standard treatment for high-profile inmates, but it doesn't make things any easier for Diddy. The highlight of all this is that the lockdown at MDC could seriously mess with Diddy's defense strategy. Former inmates have pointed out that being locked down limits contact with legal teams. And according to experts like Hamilton, it could make preparing for court a nightmare. In terms of fighting their case, it makes it all the more difficult. Because now, in terms of you being able to communicate with your attorney, you are at the mercy of what's going on with respect to the facility. Is it on lockdown? Is the facility letting visitors in? Basically, if they're on lockdown or not allowing visitors, good luck fighting your case. So while Diddy's behind bars, it seems like his ability to fight back is being seriously hampered. But hold up, it gets worse.
Look, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long.
In an exclusive interview with Eyewitness News, Los Angeles attorney Gloria Allred, who is representing several of Combs' accusers, shed light on the atmosphere surrounding the highly publicized case. It's really all about power and the misuse of power, Allred explained, making it clear that this case goes far beyond just the allegations. It touches on the wider issues of influence and control in the entertainment industry. Among Allred's clients is Thalia Graves, one of the many alleged victims. Graves spoke out about the long-term impact of the A on her, stating,
"The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words."
What's more, there's a growing possibility that Combs' ex-girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, could take the stand, despite reaching an undisclosed settlement just one day after she filed a lawsuit accusing him of R&A last November. Allred hinted that Ventura's involvement could be pivotal, remarking on the potential for charges against those who attempt to intimidate witnesses.
Even if there are confidential civil settlements, there's always an exception in the law. They can still testify in a court of law.
She even added, sometimes there are criminal charges filed not only against the defendant, but also against friends or supporters who threaten a witness. That happened in the R. Kelly case as well. Allred pointed out, drawing comparisons between Diddy's case and other high-profile trials, as the trial inches closer, the tension surrounding this case and its potential implications continues to rise. Diddy's legal mess is just getting started. And honestly, it's about time his years of power moves start biting him in the behind. You'd think after decades of living large, he'd have seen this coming, right? But nope, the fallout is bigger than anyone expected. And now, Tony Busby, a high-profile Houston attorney, is coming in hot, investigating claims from over 3,800 people across the U.S., accusing your boy Diddy of all kinds of wild stuff, from violence to ST, and even, wait for it, SA of minors.
People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice.
Yeah, you read that right. Diddy's sitting in the detention center, probably rethinking all those freaky after-parties. But it's not just the feds he has to worry about. Busby is ready to hit him with civil suits that could straight up ruin him for good. So far, he's vetted 120 people, half men, half women, who all have stories to tell. And trust me, these stories aren't pretty. Plus, there's texts, pictures, and videos to back it all up, some of which are already in the hands of the FBI. Yep, receipts are coming out, and it's not looking good. And get this, the alleged attacks, they've been going on for over 25 years. From Manhattan to Miami, from puppy parties, yikes, to New Year's Eve bashes. It's like something out of a Hollywood scandal movie. But this is real life, and it's getting messier by the day. Oh, and if you're wondering, Busby's team is still working through 3,200 more claims. So buckle up, because things are about to get a whole lot worse for Diddy.
I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get!
At this point, you gotta wonder, did Diddy really think he could get away with it forever? Well, it looks like he's finding out the hard way that karma doesn't care how famous you are. Diddy better keep his head on a swivel in prison, because according to a former warden at MDC Brooklyn, where he's locked up, there are a lot of inmates who would love to make a name for themselves by taking him out. Cameron Lindsay, who used to run the place, told TMZ that Diddy's status as a high-profile celebrity, mixed with the serious charges against him, has basically put a target on his back. Some inmates might even see taking him down as a badge of honor. Yes, it's that serious.
Former warden he's a target. That's the fact of the matter, and that's why they have him in a solitary part of the...
That's why Diddy's being held in the special housing unit, aka solitary. In there, prison officials can keep a closer eye on him, making sure he's cut off from the general population, which is full of people who wouldn't mind making a quick move on a guy like him. But don't think it's cushy living. His life in the SHU is super regimented. Just 1 hour of rec time per day and a grand total of 3 showers a week. Doesn't exactly scream luxury, does it? Family and friends will be able to visit every now and then. But Cameron Lindsay says even those visits are tough. The SHU is harder to get to, and the prison doesn't give it more time for people to hang out. So even if Diddy's crew shows up, he won't get much FaceTime with them. His lawyers, however, will have more access as they work on his case. A day in the life of Diddy right now is basically prison 101. He's getting a 6 a.m. wake-up call, followed by making his bed, mopping the floor, and keeping his cell clean. And just like that, the man who used to run the music world is stuck doing chores like a teenager, grounded on the weekend. How the tables have turned. Anyway, federal prosecutors fired back hard at Diddy's defense team after Diddy's lawyer Mark Agnifilo accused them of racially profiling the hip-hop mogul in the recent TMZ documentary. The Downfall of Diddy, the indictment. Agnifilo claimed that the feds were targeting Diddy because he's a successful black man. And when they couldn't find anything shady in his business dealings or taxes, they turned their focus to his bedroom. But the courtroom drama escalated quickly, with prosecutors shutting down those claims as baseless, saying they are not prosecuting him because of his race, but because of the serious charges on the table. And serious they are. We're talking racketeering conspiracy, ST by force, fraud or coercion, and transporting people for P. Things got even messier when Diddy's legal team asked for a gag order, suggesting that the feds were leaking information from the grand jury to the press. But the judge wasn't having it. He denied the gag order, and both sides agreed to keep their lips sealed with the media moving forward.
If it's found out that that video was actually leaked by law enforcement, that video can be suppressed. But aside from that, the indictment can also be dismissed.
Prosecutors also dropped another bomb in court. This investigation is still ongoing, and a superseding indictment could be on the way. So if Diddy thought he was in deep trouble now, he might not have seen the worst of it yet. They've been combing through terabytes of electronic data from Diddy's homes in Miami, Los Angeles, and New York for months. And apparently there's more to come. This case, far from over. You see, Sean Combs isn't exactly looking so puffy these days. And no, it's not just because he dropped the name Puffy for Diddy. He's also shed quite a few pounds, but not because of his time behind bars. When Diddy showed up in court last week, people couldn't help but notice how much thinner he looked, especially in his face. Naturally, the rumor mill started spinning with folks speculating that jail food, or lack thereof, might be behind the weight loss. Others think the stress of his criminal case is finally catching up to him. Whatever the reason, Diddy's courtroom appearance had everyone talking, and it's not just about the charges.
For the first time, his 6 oldest children, including 17-year-old twins Delilah and Jesse, arrived together to support their dad.
Well, fans are clowning Diddy's family for supporting him during the trial. The family is just as guilty as Diddy. Period. His mother knew, his children knew, every singer in hip-hop, rap, and pop knew what a monster he is. Another added, "Well, Janet, as your son is a P, unfortunately, you were aware of his actions. You never intervened or reported to the authorities, allowing his unethical behavior to continue towards his victims." That's all for today. We hope you liked that video, and if you did, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos like this.